quiero que nadie se ofenda, pero hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Só nós sentimos isso. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. O valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 64, Riding the Wave of Momentum, off the back of another win. Today we got Bill, we got Jay, we have Oscar. He's late as always. Bill, Jay, how are you guys?
What's going on?
Hey, boys.
Seven wins out of 7. Not bad. I'm enjoying this this positivity to start the season for sure. Tomorrow's going to be a good test. Today we got a few different topics to cover. We'll talk about Benfica, Vitória Sport Club, or Vitória de Guimarães 1, Benfica 3. Have some touch points on that. We'll move quickly through that one. We'll talk quickly about our strikers at the moment and their form, and then we will move into a big match tomorrow. Benfica Barcelona second round or second match day of the group. An important match for both. Barcelona coming off a 0-3 defeat at home in match day 1 against Bayern Munich. Benfica coming off a 0-0 draw in Kiev in a match that theoretically should have been the weaker opponent, but we'll get into that. And we have some stats in regards to the two teams and our history, which doesn't look good for Benfica, but we'll get there. To kick things off, we will kickstart with Vitória 1, Benfica 3, a match that myself and Oscar, who just joined, Vitória Benfica, a match that Oscar and I watched regrettably in the second row of a church pew during a wedding on Saturday.
Regrettably, my ass regrettably.
You guys did that. You enjoyed every moment of it.
So we watched it on my phone. I mean, whenever Benfica plays, right, you got to make the most effort to watch. You can't miss a game, and we made our effort. It was a game the first half we watched. We silently celebrated in that second pew, as I mentioned. I'm sure my mom will be very disappointed in the fact that I wasn't paying full attention in the wedding.
But you were at church.
Did you throw
at church,
in
though?
church?
I kind of like need Oscar. He made sure that he sat next to me. That was his one requisite. Like, dude, I'm gonna have to skip the line so I can sit next to you. And I was like, oh my god. So,
and we warned the groom. If we scream, we're not objecting to the wedding.
And then the priest called all the groomsmen up onto the altar, and that was the moment that Benfica scored the second goal. And I pulled the phone out of my back pocket and I was holding it behind my back so Paul, who was standing to the left of me, can see the goal. It was just a comedy of bad decisions, or a string of bad decisions, but I don't regret them. A game that ended in 3-1 for Benfica, a game that I went back and watched the extended highlights. I also went and kind of skimmed through the match as well to kind of get an idea of what we were up against. And Bill probably will have the best insight as he watched it. And Jay, I know you got frustrated with it. But in terms of the starting 11, Vlaco Dimos, Lucas Veríssimo, Otamendi, Vertonghen in the back. Lázaro gets his first start for Benfica on the right. João Mário, Weigl, Grimaldo, Rafa, Darwin, Yaremchuk. In terms of predictions for that game, Jay and I predicted 0-2 for Benfica. Oscar, Bill, and Kenny predicted a 1-2. Neither of us got it right. I believe 2 guys on the Portuguese podcast predicted the 3-1. I will update the standings tonight, but not much has changed since the last update. Bill, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on that match? It was the first half that I thought Benfica started off. First 10 minutes or so was pretty even. Guimarães had 2 chances, one a header from Stupinhan, and then before that, a cross that was kind of ended up hitting off 2 players, and I think Weigl ended up clearing it out. But apart from that, Benfica kind of went into overdrive. The rest of the half I thought was pretty controlled by Benfica. We got 2 goals. We could have scored maybe 2 more. And then in the second half, I felt like Benfica never really got out of second gear. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a game of 2 halves, right? The first half, surprisingly, normally Benfica comes out in the second half and plays better. Well, this game it was reversed. We came out, like you said, the first few minutes. I think Guimarães had a couple chances, but nothing too serious. And then Benfica just grew into the game and slowly took over and created a few chances. And Yaremchuk did well to put those 2 away. We probably could have had 1, maybe 2 more. And then that second half, it was just a completely different Benfica side. I think Guimarães controlled that game in the second half. Unlucky to get 1. They probably could have got 1, maybe 2 more, which could have made things very interesting for Benfica to finish that game. But luckily, Benfica was able to hold out with the 3-1 result. It's not a game that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy going into Barca. That's for damn sure.
True. And Jay, I'll pass it over to you. And like I mentioned, right, it was a game that it seemed like Benfica never was. I felt like Guimarães never really pushed Benfica to have to kind of take that next gear. I think that Benfica kind of got comfortable, maybe with a thought on the Barcelona game. But then also, how fortunate are we on that mistake from Lucas Veríssimo that Edwards, I think, took too long, made a bad decision, and Vertonghen got back, of all people. And then that penalty, like for me, that penalty has lazy written all over it.
Yep.
What are your thoughts, Jay?
So regarding the game, I think once we scored those 2 goals, Yaremchuk, and I think he could have had a hat trick too. He missed that one.
Yep.
Darwin also stumbled on his feet, which isn't shocking at this point anymore. But I think after we scored those first 2 goals, we were like cruise control, and we were looking forward to the Barca game. I think everyone kind of felt comfortable, like you said, and we didn't really put too much pressure and kind of wanted the game to end, just trying to waste time and try to close out the game. Regarding Lucas Veríssimo, like I actually mentioned this to one of you guys at the wedding. He fouls a lot, and he makes like stupid fouls. like that PK was like what you said was lazy. And he did give away, like Vertonghen came back and cleared that one that he made the mistake on. But I do like Lucas Veríssimo. I think he's going to be a solid player, but he needs to cut that. He needs to cut the crap on those like stupid like little touch fouls that I've been seeing a lot this year. And maybe that's why. Like, I don't know how many yellow cards he has, but it seems like he gets one every time he plays. And not to mention, he's already had a couple, like a red card in Champions League play?
Yep, PSV.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if he's just trying to get into the rhythm of things or it's still a little early in the season, but he needs to kind of cut that out a little bit and just play a little bit just in front, like behind the guy, and just not make those mental errors that he did.
Speaking of yellow cards, before I pass it to Oscar, who do you think, if I had to ask you, who do you think the top 3 with yellow cards at Benfica are today, all competitions, who would you say?
I would say Otamendi, Lucas Veríssimo, and Weigl.
Okay. Oscar, who would you say?
I'd probably agree with Otamendi being the most.
Who else? Who would you be other 2? One of them is going to surprise you.
Yeah, I already knew one of them. Like, just
is it Rafa? Rafa's probably there because he follows a lot back to cut the play.
Yeah, Weigl's got 3, Rafa's got 3, Otamendi's got 3, Odi's got 2, Meite has 2, Gonçalo Ramos has 2. Everyone else then after that has 1. Veríssimo has 2 because he has a double yellow against PSV. I don't believe he doesn't have a yellow card in the league.
He has one from this
Lucas
weekend.
Vidic?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
one
So
this
that's
weekend.
what this is. All right, so this is the double. Okay,
See,
yeah. So
see
he's
that
got one.
surprised me because I feel like every time I watch him play, he gets one.
I think he's just one of those players that fouls and gets the hell out of there. Like he doesn't stick around. He doesn't cause bullshit.
What?
He doesn't talk. He just
And I feel like a
leaves.
lot of his fouls are at like half, right?
Midfield.
They're not. Yeah, he's not making a lot of fouls down near our 18. I think it's like just little tacky fouls on the counterattack, and he's just knocking players down at the 18 or at half. Typically, those, you're not getting credit for those.
Oscar, what do you add to what they said? And then I'm going to give you the opportunity to say your piece, because just like we can speak highly of, we also need to be able to criticize as well. And we had talked about Darwin scoring 4 goals in 3 games, and this game he had a very frustrating performance. Seemed like just nothing worked for him. There was a moment in the second half where he gets the ball down the left-hand side. He can play it into the middle, makes a bad decision, doesn't make the pass. JJ loses his mind. At that point is when who came on? Peasy, I think it was. Someone came on shortly after, and Darwin actually came off the field thinking he was going to be subbed because of that frustration. But in my opinion, I think JJ made the right decision in not taking him off, because it absolutely would have shattered his confidence. But in turn, taking him off is because in his mind, Yaremchuk's going to start against Barcelona and Darwin's not going to start, which we'll get into later. But the ball's yours, Oscar.
Well, regarding the game, I think you guys touched on all the points that I was going to bring up. I think after 3-0, the game was, let's think about Barcelona. I don't think the game was like 3-0, the game's over. This has happened in the 66th minute or 71st minute, 3-0. That's that to Benfica, most of the players, like even he started making subs thinking of Barcelona. I don't think we had any game after that. I think our minds were in Barcelona. We had a good game, a good first half. We took. I'm glad that Chuk came back and scored 2 goals, because he was not scoring for the last 3 games. So it's just and it's good to go into Barcelona winning away 3-1 to Guimarães. That's a positive all around. Now, when it comes to Darwin, I don't know what else you guys can say about Darwin. We hype him up one game, and then he shows us a total different Darwin the second game. So, I mean, with him, it's like you guys can keep saying, people in Benfica, like back in the day, Rafa is an awesome player, but he's not consistent. Well, there it is. This guy here, Darwin, he's not consistent whatsoever. Like it just, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's 21 years old. Give him another year, give him another 2 years, and he maybe shuts me up. But until then, he's not consistent.
No, I agree. I agree that, again, we need to be able to speak highly of and then be able to also criticize when we need to criticize. And I agree with you. And Kenny and I have been absolute drivers of the Darwin bandwagon since he started. We've been fighting for the steering wheel. Kenny maybe more so has let off the gas in recent months. But again, right, like, I get he's 21, he's young, right? But like, if we want to hold these players to a higher standard, right, like the consistency has to be there, right? Even if he's not scoring goals, right, but his performances are spot on, right? He's contributing, he's not making stupid decisions, and all of that might come with time and maturity. But I agree, like, he's not consistent enough at the moment. It felt good to score 4 goals in 3 games. But again, I agree with you. He lacks that consistency that we so criticize Everton, for example, which Jay mentioned him to me this weekend. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Jay.
I actually want to touch base. Like, I just think that we see the potential that Darwin could be in, and then we see the games that he scores the 2 goals or 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 3 or whatever. And then he comes out with the dud like he did this weekend. And that's what's the most frustrating thing of all. But we do see the potential that he has as a player. But it's like what Oscar said. He needs to be more consistent to be at a higher level, like we always like at Benfica that we have.
No, but like let's ask a serious question. What have you seen, or you guys seen that shows potential. I've seen speed.
So I would say speed and strength. His feet, he definitely doesn't seem comfortable with the ball at his feet, which is why I think JJ has moved him out to the left, right, to be able to attack that space in behind. Whereas when he's the focal point in the middle, he doesn't seem, at least at this moment, doesn't seem very comfortable with the ball at his feet, with his back to goal, right, which is something Yaremchuk can do, Gonçalo Ramos can do, Rodrigo Pinho can do. So I think that's why he moved them wide. But Jay, Bill, I'll open it up to you to give your thoughts.
Like I just want to know is, what do you guys see as potential from him?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, as Mike pointed out, is the strength and the speed, right? You can't teach speed. Like, no matter what you do in training, you can't, like, you're as fast as you're going to be, and that's it. And I think his strength and his speed are his two biggest attributes, and the rest of it, I think, will come with time. His first touch is at times horrendous, and I think Oscar's made the joke where he might be wearing boots that are a size too big.
I honestly think he is.
He can never control the ball. It's funny because it reminds me of, like, I'm not comparing the player, I'm just comparing, like, the first touch. Lukaku, when he was, like, first busting onto the scene, like, he couldn't fucking control the ball for the life of him. But if he got near the goal, like, he could put the ball away. And I think that is kind of his strength, right? Like, if he gets near the goal, he might miss a few, but more often than not, he's going to put it away. But if you're relying on him to kind of settle the ball and hold it up as a center forward, then you're fucked, right? I think his strength, and what I think Mike alluded to it, and what Jesus might be doing, is put him out wide to give him the opportunity to get the balls in over the top, and he's just cutting into a goal, and all he has to do is really one touch and shoot.
Jay, you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, Bill kind of touched based on everything that I was going to mention. His strength is speed, and if he's like around the area and he has an opportunity to shoot, I think he has a pretty good shot also. But he needs, like, I don't think he's good at taking defenders on. Like, I think that's where he messes up.
And Miguel's kind of touched on it. Like, he makes it's pretty damn obvious when he's going to cut back. If it's on his left, he's more often than not going to cut back and try to get it to his right foot.
And just, like, why not just let it rip, dude? Who cares if you shank it, you hit the guy? Like,
I've been praying for that, and I keep saying, like, we paid $25 million for a right foot that he barely knows how to use. The left foot, forget about it. So you guys talk about.
If you're gonna go by that, I mean, PSG just got one of the best players in the world, and he just uses his left foot too. It's just.
Well, yeah, wait, don't even compare. Don't compare.
I'm pulling one of your things right today.
No. I can
compare Ronaldo to everybody.
I can tell you, Messi buried Boateng with his right foot, and you guys, that's been all over the world. All right, like, that's been probably the one, like, what annihilated Boateng as one of the top defenders in the world, and basically buried him.
Darwin's gonna make PK sit on his ass.
So no, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if you guys think Darwin's biggest strength in what we see as potential is strength and speed, so, like, but you don't see that you're like, okay, this guy's got, like, Everton, I see that he's got the skill. I see that he got the skill. He's got potential. All he has to do is develop that in the horizons around it. But you can tell that a guy can ball. You can tell that he can ball. He has good feet. I mean,
not at Benfica. Not wearing a Benfica shirt.
I know, but no. He's shown glimpses of it. He's shown him breaking through the defense and assisting. You've seen glimpses, so you can see that he has skill. When it comes to Darwin, I mean, I can put Usain Bolt on the side, and he has strength and speed. Does that mean he's going to be a good soccer player?
It's a valid point.
Like, I mean, yeah, a lot of it also, like, I don't want to, like, compare him to Lukaku, right? Because completely different players, completely different. I mean, Lukaku now is a proven goal scorer, but at the time, right, Lukaku at Chelsea when he was young, the first time around, like, he couldn't fucking touch a ball for the life of him, right? And it's and you see him now, Lukaku with the ball at his feet. It's one of his strongest points, right? He gets the ball up top, he can hold it up pretty well, and he can play it out wide. And I think it's that kind of stuff you can train and you can improve on, right? Whereas speed and strength, there's only so much you can do to train and build up your strength and your speed. Like, you're just either you're quick as fuck, or you're not going to improve it. Like, there's nothing really much you can do to improve it.
Sure, Miguel says Darwin's like Batshuayi now. Can't keep the ball at his feet. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes of him. Maybe he'll pull a rabbit out of a hat tomorrow. Big game. But
I'll tell you this: I'm more frustrated with Everton than I am with Darwin. That I will definitely say.
I think a lot of people's frustrations with Everton, in comparison to Darwin, I think everyone realized Darwin was like a future buy, right? You're buying him now, but it's like you're going to develop him in a few years is when you're going to see his full potential. And with Darwin and with Everton, he was built as like he's formado, he's ready to go. Like,
yeah,
take him from Brazil, plug him into your lineup, and you're good. You don't have to worry about him. And we've seen it for like a few glimpses, like Oscar mentioned, but we haven't seen it for like a long stretch of time.
Right. No consistency, but like what I'm talking about potential, I see that he has a skill. You can tell that a guy can ball. Like maybe this confidence is not there right now, but you can tell that by the way he touches the ball that he's a baller. He can play, and that's what I've been trying to find in Darwin. And I see a clown foot hitting the ball 20 miles ahead of him, and then him chasing it. I used to see that with the guy they used to went from Guimarães to Manchester United. What's his name? The Beto.
Beto.
Yeah.
No. Bebe.
Yeah. I used to see with that guy, and then what happened? He was a fraud, right? So that kind of like, and he had glimpses of games where he destroyed teams, like with his speed and strength. But look at what happened to him. So I hope that's not a Darwin.
I hope so too, because it'll be an expensive one. To close off on this game, goal point had Rafa at a 7-3, which was the highest rating. Starting from the back, 5-7 for Audi, 5-3 Verissimo, 6-3 Otamendi, 6-9 Vertonghen, João Mario 6-4, Weigl 6-3, Grimaldo 6, Darwin 6-4, Yaremchuk 7-2, and Lazarus 6-4. Bill, who would you give your man of the match to?
I think the easy one is Yaremchuk, but for me, I'm going to go with João Mario. I think what he does in the midfield is so underrated. He's never going to really stand out on the stat sheet, but his control of that midfield is unbelievable. And I think, this weekend he just put in another solid performance.
In a goal.
That goal was nice.
Yep. Jay, MVP for you?
I would go with Yaremchuk with the 2 goals. I thought he deserved it. I thought Vertonghen had a pretty good game as well. He also saved us on one play. So I would have to choose between those two, but I would go with Yaremchuk.
Oscar?
I all the guys you guys mentioned, I agree with. Yaremchuk, he scored 2 goals. He broke the deadlock. One was 0-0, so it was a really nice goal. The first goal, the chip, that can see that's the skill that I've been actually looking for in Darwin, and you can see that the Yaremchuk, like that kind of skill is okay. I see something in that, right? So that first goal to me was class. I'll give it to Yaremchuk for that reason. But I agree with Tank. Not Tank. Bill. João Mario had a phenomenal game. That guy is all over the place. He's a box-to-box player, and he steps up to the box to score goals. And it happens pretty often. It's not like it's a one wonder type of goal. So those two guys are solid choices.
Okay.
Dude, you know what's funny? Like last year, we at this point we were like, dude, we need to fix our midfield, and then now I think it's like one of the most solid positions that we have is Weigl and João Mario. Like. But no question.
I think the issue last year was he couldn't find the pairing that he wanted. Right? He tried fucking everyone. And
Pizzi, Tarab.
He couldn't settle on it. And I think this year was once he got João Mario, I think it was like just an easy like plug and play. He knew Weigl was gonna stay in that spot, and then I think once they signed João Mario, it was like, all right. Those are the 2 midfielders, and let's roll. And it's no one has done anything to say otherwise, right?
Well, if you think this year, was it this year we lost to it wasn't this year. Last year we lost to Arsenal, right? The few games last year that we actually enjoyed Benfica playing was when they had a 3 back, right? last year. We played phenomenal against even the Spartans. We played really good with a 3-back, and I think he, in his mind, okay, that's the best way to go. You plug in João Mario, which is an upgrade onto that midfield, and that system will only get better, right? But last year, without João Mario, our best games was in the 3-back system. Our worst games when he went 4-back, and then he put Pizzi in the middle with Weigl to control the whole midfield against teams that played with 3 midfielders. So it made no sense because Pizzi's not a defender, and Weigl was all over the place. He was lost, right? So when he adapted the 3-back and pushed 2 guys up to help with the midfield, we had our best games without João Mario last year. And obviously, inserting João Mario in fixes the issue completely. My problem is if we lose João Mario or Weigl, we have Weigl, we probably have Mate to put in there because Mate, you can tell that a guy's a solid replacement. But once we lose João Mario,
you have Jetson. I mean that's his backup. I mean, from what we're seeing on the subs lately, that's who it's been coming in. But I'll tell you this, I kind of like Jetson being behind João Mario because hopefully he can kind of learn from João Mario and start developing some skills. I mean, some things that João Mario does into his game, and hopefully he improves. Hopefully by in a couple of years, he can probably take over that spot. That's best case scenario for me. I don't know what you guys think on that, but
I have 2 questions for you guys. One, Tiago says here in the comments, Lázaro também fez um bom jogo, boa alternativa para a direita, which I'll ask you guys this question. Again, we've seen a small sample. Diogo has been adapted to a right wing back, a position that technically isn't his, but he's adapting well to it. Maybe the right wing back is a little bit more appropriate for him, given that he's an offensive type of player. Do you think that Lázaro can be that guy, given his explosiveness, his creativity with the ball at his feet, his ability to get in behind, his ability to recover? Do you see him potentially being a guy that becomes our regular starter on that right side? Anyone can take that.
I don't.
I mean, I don't mind him. I think he played pretty well this past game as well. I think that's a position that I think we were pretty good at overall. I mean, we have
four solid players.
I know we have Gilberto, Diogo,
Almeida,
and Almeida. So I feel like it's good to have the depth, but I mean that's up to Jesus and what he feels like. Who's best to play in what game?
Is Lázaro at all? Can he play in the left side or no?
Yes, he can play both sides.
Yeah.
All right, so
that helps even more.
That's Lázaro. I mean, I liked him. He's good in that side. Obviously, we haven't. He's most likely going to start tomorrow against Barcelona. It'll be good to see him against a team that has a lot of possession. Let's see how he controls his his space. But I liked him. What I've seen from him, I liked him.
And he could also like that playing Lázaro on the right can also move Diogo up, playing a little bit up front as well. So
you can't. I just
feel like it gives you the option to move the players around.
Yeah, who are you going to move out though?
But it gives you the option.
I'm not saying take the guys out. I'm saying it gives the coach an option to the game.
Yeah.
Diogo doesn't have to play the wing back. He can go play up forward. Maybe we're going to be down a few guys later on in the season where Diogo needs to go play up front. That's wrong. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying he's going to.
And I would add to that, Jay. I would say that Diogo playing further up the field gives us something that no other player, I would say, on Benfica gives us, which is the ability to go down to the end line and put a cross in.
Yeah,
exactly. I was just about to say that, and so my only reason for thinking Diogo is, when healthy, is our first choice right wing back, if you will, over Lázaro, is the fact that those balls Diogo plays in, no one else. Grimaldo does occasionally, but no one else on the team is playing those whipping crosses in. And I think having guys like Yaremchuk and Darwin up top, like, they have height, they can get up, and occasionally you just, to change things up, put a ball in and let them go and attack it. And there's no one else really that plays that type of those crosses in. And I think that's his advantage over Lázaro.
No, but I've seen some glimpses of Lázaro crossing the ball too. He's not. I mean, we haven't seen much from him. when it comes to that. But that aspect, but I've seen glimpses of it.
I think what Mike's trying to say is like take the defender, go right to the line, and put in the ball in. Like there's not many players. Like Everton doesn't do it. Like some of our forwards, they like to cut in the middle and do like
they all do
pass the ball. Yeah,
but we can't.
He's actually a player that goes right down to the line.
We don't have a north to south player. Diogo is the only real guy that's going to go like one-on-one. He will go at you. Right, Everton will go at you, but will cut in. Everton will go at you, beat you, then stop because he doesn't have that explosion.
Make you and whatever.
He doesn't go to the end line, right? We don't have wingers.
You don't expect Everton to go to the end line. He's a righty playing on the left. You expect if you play an off foot player on the opposite side of where your foot is, you're gonna expect them to cut in and shoot. You're not gonna expect them to go into the end line and cross. Like that's how Ronaldo made his career at Manchester United, is to play on the left side, cut in and shoot. Right? And that's what sometimes I feel makes us one-dimensional when Everton plays with Grimaldo, right? Because Everton, is going to come inside, and Grimaldo's going to have to get down that end line, right? So then Everton's not going to help defend as much, right? So now you have that gap, right? Whereas if you have a guy like Rafa and Lázaro Diogo, right? Like Rafa's going to track back, right? Even if Diogo gets down to the end line, or if Lázaro is playing behind Diogo, as an example, right? If Diogo gets to the end line, Lázaro has that ability to get back as well, right? So there's that gap always on that left side when Everton's there, because he's always more on the inside than he is going down the end line. Have you guys thought about Lázaro on the left side and Grimaldo pushed back up like we did against Porto with Tavares came into the left side?
I think he would play, if he ever did that, I think he would put Lázaro further up, because Lázaro is naturally a wing back type player. He's not naturally a defender.
Wait, but you would be playing defense. You play being a wing back still, but playing Grimaldo.
Are you saying like in a back four?
No, back three backs, and then two wing backs with Diogo on one side and Lázaro on the other, with Grimaldo playing Everton
center back.
Grimaldo like just we did against
further
Porto.
up.
Yeah, like we did against Porto. And
that's what I'm saying.
Played the left back.
I would imagine if he ever did that Lázaro would play in that front three before Grimaldo would.
Really?
Just because he's more of an offensive type player, that's naturally his position. Moving on here, Grimaldo neste sistema também melhorou muito as exibições porque não tem tanta necessidade defensiva, o que é o ponto mais fraco. True. Para não existir uma alternativa ao mesmo nível na esquerda.
Duke can't play. Like he mentioned, Grimaldo is not the greatest defender in the world.
Correct.
He's really good at going forward, but I mean, in what Oscar was saying, I would probably put Grimaldo more farther up front. I just don't like Grimaldo playing defense, to be honest. He's small. He gets beat on headers all the time. He's not – I don't know. I just don't like him playing defense.
But you just think about the best left backs in the world are all small.
No, I get it. I completely understand.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah, but they were all short.
Except for Alphonso Davies.
Yeah, but like Roberto Carlos, even Marcelo, all those guys were short.
Even Benfica, Leo. Sequeira wasn't tall.
Yeah. So, but because they need to have, if he was a big dude to go up and down the line all game long, you need a rato.
All right, moving on. And abraço para Tiago. We were talking about, so I had a point here, strikers on point. In the last 5 games, 13 goals. Chuk has 3, Darwin has 4, Rafa has 2, Gilberto 1, Pinho 1, Weigl 1, João Mário 1. And those are in the games against Vitória, 3-1 against Boavista, draw in Dinamo, 5-0 Santa Clara, and 2-1 at home against Tondela. And we were talking about João Mário, right, and what he brings to the team. And I think it's obvious what he brings to this midfield is that certainty in the pass, that certainty in possession, that good decision-making, right? He's not a flair player. He occupies space well. He helps defend. He'll make that foul, that chippy foul, just outside the opponent's box to break up the play. So he's smart when it comes to that. But my question here for you guys is, one, given that we're already 14 or so games into the season, are we starting to get a little bit of confidence in terms of what our striking options are, right? Not just the strikers, but Rafa as a forward, those types of options. But then also my other question to you guys is, in some of the games in the past, or not counting these previous 5, right? Gil Vicente comes to mind, right? Lucas Verissimo breaks the deadlock. Grimaldo scores late in the game as well, right? So defenders pulled through. I'm of the opinion that a team like Benfica and most good teams need to have goals from midfield. Right. Strikers are going to go through periods, right? We have a few, so hopefully when one goes down or one goes through a moment, we have another one to pick up the slack. But looking at the goal scorers for this season, right? Rafa's got 4, Yaremchuk has 4, Darwin has 4, Weigl has 2, João Mario has 2, and then Verissimo has 2, Gilberto has 2, Waldschmidt, who's gone, has 2, and then Pinho 1 and Grimaldo 1. In that need, so the two questions. One, are you starting to get a little bit more confidence in our options going forward, the way that JJ has kind of structured our front three? And then 2, who do you think can be that guy to give us those goals from the midfield, those late runs into the box that could help, when needed, pull a rabbit out of a hat to give us that ability? Oscar, I'll start with you.
Well, from the midfield, a consistent goal scorer in my history have been Pizzi.
I knew this was going.
But if we need if we need to get a goal, and we're struggling to get a goal, I don't see a better option coming off the bench to make that happen than Pizzi. That's my opinion, but obviously you guys can have your own.
No,
but he's a guy that's got goals in him. When it comes to a midfield, we got Rafa, but Rafa is playing. So if Rafa is not scoring, you're gonna put Jessen to score a goal, late goal? No. You're gonna put Mate to score late goal? No. So from the midfield, you got Pizzi that's got goals in him. So to me that's an obvious one. Now the strikers, I don't think he's got to figure it out, because we have Seth coming back, and he's been probably one of the best in the Euros. If when it comes to playing striking, right, being a striker, you have Ramos, who 3 games ago was supposed to be our number 1, right? So I don't think he's got to figure it out. Yaremchuk has been scored 2 goals this game. Darwin scored 2 goals last game. Darwin this game sucked. Yaremchuk hasn't scored in 3 previous games. When does Seth and Ramos and Pinho come into the picture? I don't think he's got to figure it out. How when he had Cardozo and Lima, those are his strikers. No matter what, those are his strikers. I don't think he's got to figure out this year yet.
But I think before I pass the ball
it's a good headache to have, no?
It is a good headache, but 100%.
Especially if they're all playing well, which I feel like they all have, except for I really haven't seen Seth play really.
I mean, Seth's been injured for the most part.
Yeah. But besides all the other strikers that have come in and played, they played well. Pinho, Ramos, Yaremchuk. I mean, Darwin's been 50. I feel like I'll give Darwin 60-40. I wouldn't even say 50-50, but
I would say. But the thing that I was trying to get to is, right, Darwin scored, Yaremchuk scored, Rafa scored. But when you look at the season up until now, right, and when I say it seems like he's figured it out, it seems like the dynamic that Rafa brings with Yaremchuk, with Darwin, right, the different types of styles and the different types of players, right? You look at Benfica this season, Benfica scored 2+ goals in every single game except PSV away and Dinamo Kiev away.
Yep.
Other than that, Benfica scored at least 2 goals in every game, right? And that's not by chance, right? You don't score 2+ goals in all but 2 games in the season without having figured out some sort of dynamic there that seems to be working. Whether it's going to be long-term, who knows, right? Time will tell. But I think that there's some credit there that seems like something's working, whether it's the front 3, whether it's the people that are feeding the front 3 from the midfield, right? João Mario plays a big part there.
It's
the formation, the tactic, right?
It's João Mario to me. He's the one that plugs everything up going forward, and it just benefits us overall. I agree. I feel like I have the utmost confidence with it. They could put any of those forwards up there, and I feel like we could score, like you said, 2+ goals a game, because we have João Mario and Rafa and Everton. Well, I wouldn't say Everton, but we have players that can go push the game to those forwards, so they can score the goals. So I know what you're saying, and that's why I was trying to say, I feel like I agree with Oscar. I don't think he's figured out the 2 that he wants to play all the time, like Lima and Cardozo. But I feel like me personally, I have the confidence of whoever he throws on there. I feel like they're going to score, or has a good chance to score.
I think he's figured out his tactics when he has Rafa in there. I think Rafa is the key in all of this, right? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when Rafa's on the field, he's not operating out wide like you would typically see the front three, right? Rafa is very central in the build-up when we're on counters and everything. He's very close to João Mario, and I think a lot of the play is going through those midfield too, Weigl and João Mario, and looking for Rafa in that space like you would see in the old school number 10 position, right? The guy behind the forwards. I think Rafa's operating in that space, and I think that is the key to the forwards, including Rafa, bagging all these goals so far this season. Him in that space is creating a lot of havoc because he can operate in that space. If it's a tight defense, he has the footwork to break down the defenders and get down the line or get a ball in behind. And I think that is causing a lot of the uncertainty from the defensive standpoint, which is allowing the forwards to get a few of these goals.
My concern still stands. If we lose Rafa, well, I guess I'll ask you guys this question quickly.
Then Oscar's boys coming in.
I feel like that's a perfect spot for PZ to play as well, right? Like
because
you put him out wide, but he's operating more as a number 10. I think that we all agreed last year was PZ's strength, not in the midfield. It was as that number 10 that can make those passes. He's obviously not as quick as Rafa, but he's probably better making those last passes than Rafa is.
It will give him the freedom that, like, Rafa, I feel like has the freedom to do, like what you mentioned, go in the middle, go wide. Just in PZ, I feel like would do pretty well in that position as well.
Yeah, and I agree with that. When PZ had his best years in Benfica, was him roaming the top, was not playing a top three, because we always had two strikers, about two strikers that played flexible, like we had Jonas and João, right? And PZ was always like a roaming around, so he was able to like Mikey, to Mikey's point, sneak in that goal or come from the back and score a goal, and that's when PZ, I think to me, was at his best. And I think Rafa's taking advantage of that spot to do the same thing, like Tank said. He's coming in through those empty spaces that by moving so quickly in and out of that wing position, that he's breaking down defenses, just confusing them, and he's scoring goals and being Rafa this year that we always wanted him to be.
But I'll say this: the reason why I don't mind Rafa doing it, it's because he has the speed to come back.
Yeah.
Like PZ doesn't have that type of speed, and that's the only thing that would probably concern me a little bit. I don't think it would be like a big problem, but would PZ have the speed to keep tracking back like Rafa does all the time? Like when
he can't.
Right. That's the only issue with that.
Right. Now the thing is, like you said, any two strikers we can put up, like he's using I think the only reason Darwin's actually playing is because of what you guys said earlier. He's playing the left side to cut in, right? Because if you take out Darwin, the other two strikers really can't do that position. We can't put Steph in that position. And Gonzalo Ramos is more of a striker, number 9, right? So putting unless you take Yada out, and to me that's not a smart move. You leave Yada in, and then what are you gonna do with Steph? Steph is gonna either sub Yada or not play.
I think Ramos could play that position though.
He's quick, but he's. I don't know. It's like almost putting. When Portugal played with Hugo Almeida and Ronaldo, and Hugo Almeida had to play the left side. That's what I used to. That's how I would picture.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
We'll see.
Quick question. I don't need an explanation. I just need an answer before we jump into the Barcelona game. Given how Benfica is playing today, given how the team performing collectively, individually, who would be a bigger loss to the team today, João Mario or Rafa? Bill?
João Mario.
Jay?
João Mario.
Oscar?
Yeah, João Mario.
Man, unanimous. Okay. I thought somebody would say Rafa.
Dude,
I feel like a lot of us
legit changed our game. He is the glue right now. I mean, I get Rafa is playing out of his freaking mind, and he is, but João Mario is the orchestrator of everything.
And another argument for João Mario is he's super consistent. When it comes to Rafa, he can have a game that nobody can stop him, and then the next game that you haven't seen, the Rafa doesn't touch the ball. So that game that Rafa doesn't touch the ball, we're still winning it, right? Because we have other guys that can score. But if we lose João Mario, we lose a consistency in the midfield.
I think last year's like a perfect example, right? Like we can figure out someone to replace Rafa depending on the game and who we're playing. That second midfield role, like it's not easy to just plug someone in and move on. Like it's last year was a perfect example of it. Like we couldn't figure out who to pair Weigl with, and no one else kind of worked, and we would get killed in the midfield. And this year, just one player in that midfield changes the dynamic of the team completely.
Absolutely. And like I was just gonna say something similar. It's just like it's Jetson or Peasy. Like I mean that would be the replacements. Which one would you rather have playing? I'd rather have Peasy play over Jetson. So losing João Mario would be kind of
as long as like I said this many times last year. As long as we have the 3-back system, I think it's acceptable to put Peasy there because we have 2 other wing backs helping the midfield. It's acceptable, not recommended, but acceptable. And I can think, I say we still do pretty well. Now, when you go to a back 4 and put 2 midfielders like Peasy and Weigl, then forget it. I don't agree with that.
The game against PSV, I thought João Mario didn't play that great, and you could see like we weren't doing anything. Rafa couldn't even do anything. Like none of us, no one. Like if João Mario's off, then the whole team folds.
Valid points. Moving forward to our last topic here, which is going to be an interesting one. Benfica Barcelona. Again, match day 2. Benfica has 1 point. Barcelona has 0. We welcome a Barcelona team that is an absolute shadow of the Barcelona that we know and that we grew up with. Ronald Koeman returns to the Stade de Luz after coaching Benfica 2005-2006. He finished 3rd that year in the league, if I'm not mistaken. He won the Super Taça Cândido Oliveira, was his only title. And he was the orchestrator, one of the orchestrators of the big match or victory in Anfield against Liverpool. And 7 matches this season for Barcelona. Official matches: 3 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss, which was against Bayern Munich. In that game, they made history. They didn't have a shot on target, which was the first time ever. They're currently 6th in the league, 5 points back of first place, which is Real Madrid. They do have 1 game in hand. They haven't won consecutive matches this season. They did just win against Levante at the weekend, 3-0. But their previous victory had come against Getafe at home. So the 3 wins that they have are all at home. They beat Levante this weekend. They beat Getafe 2-1 at home, and they beat Real Sociedad 4-2 in their first game of the season. They drew away to Bilbao 1-1. They lost at home to Bayern Munich. They drew at home against Granada, and they drew away to Cadiz. So their travels this season have not been good. They have never lost their opening 2 matches in the Champions League group stage. So they're facing that history tomorrow. Hopefully they make that history. Benfica has only defeated Barcelona once in their 7 previous meetings, which was 1960, 1961, Taça dos Clubes Campeões, when Benfica won our first European title. Benfica beat them 3-2. Since then, we drew 0-0 in 91-92, the Taça dos Campeões Europeus. We lost 2-1 in the same season, 2006-2007. In the Champions League, we drew 0-0 both games. And then 2012-2013, when JJ was the manager, we drew at home 0-0, and we lost away 2-0. So
I think Ronaldinho didn't Ronaldinho miss the PK against us?
Yeah, Moreto.
Moreto. I was about to say we have Moreto.
He actually stood on his head that game. Benfica should have lost that game at home, but he played out of his mind. Just a few more points here before we jump into your thoughts on the game. Just like we talked about last week of Benfica's upcoming difficult schedule, I believe is in the month of November. Barcelona themselves have a difficult stretch of games coming up. They're away to us tomorrow. They are away to Atleti. They're at home against Valencia, at home against Dinamo, and then at home against Real Madrid. So they have a handful of games that are going to be challenging for them. at a time where, again, this club is a shadow of themselves. There's a bunch of issues. There's a bunch of injuries, and they just don't seem to have an identity. And just to finish off here, the squad list, there's a bunch of injuries they have for tomorrow's game. And when I run through these names, some of these names don't even ring a bell to me. For some people who follow the Spanish league a little bit more, they may, but we'll get into this. Ter Stegen, Serginho Dest, Piqué, Araújo, Sergio, Ricky Puig, Memphis, Ansu Fati, Demir, Neto, Coutinho, Lenglet, Pedri, Luka de Jong, Sergio Roberto, Frankie de Jong, Mingueza, Umtiti, Eric, Iñaki Peña, Nico, and Gavi.
Those are the guys that are hurt?
Those are the guys that are included in the squad, for tomorrow. In terms of injuries and key injuries, I would say Sergio Aguero, Jordi Alba, Balde, Brathwaite, Dembele, and Wage. So there's some heavy artillery that's injured. I know that they were hopeful that Jordi Alba would be fit for this game, but he's not yet. Pedri just coming back from an injury, so match fitness may be lacking. Ansu Fati just came back this weekend and he scored.
He's good. He's so good.
He's been out for over a year.
But he scares me.
Yeah, it was his first game back in a year. So, Jay, I'm going to start with you. Taking all of this into context, taking current form into context, what are you expecting of this game, right? And looking at both sides and well, I guess let's start on the Barcelona side first. Looking at that Barcelona squad, do you see a player there that's available that you think could be a difference maker in this game for Barcelona for the positive?
I like Fati. I like that midfielder that played for Spain over the Euro. Is he playing?
Pedri.
Yeah.
He's just got back from injury, so he's available, but match fitness might be lacking.
Those two players I really like. I like the center defensive De Jong. I like that dude that plays in the center mid. But all right, that helps. I like Frank De Jong. Pedri. Memphis is good. Probably Memphis and Fati are probably the two players I would probably be the two most dangerous players, I would say, overall for Barca.
And how are you feeling about the game?
Looking at, I have the utmost confidence. We're riding high. They're not riding so high. We're playing at home. You mentioned that they've been struggling on the road. I don't want to say my prediction just yet, but I'm expecting a W, to be honest with you. At least a tie. I would be happy with a tie, but call me crazy, but I have the most confidence right now because of the way we're playing and the way they're playing overall.
Bill, what do you think?
Which is weird to say because it's Barcelona.
Yeah, no, I agree with Tank. I think the time we're catching Barca right now is probably couldn't be any better, right? They've been struggling to start the season. They have a shit ton of injuries. I think we have an opportunity here to get a vital 3 points and essentially an historic result against Barcelona, right? On paper, Barca Benfica, you would say Barca should beat Benfica 10 times out of 10, but I think the circumstances kind of are more in favor to Benfica. I think I'm assuming we're going to stay with the same front three for this game. It's going to be
hold on, don't give me your lineup yet. We're going there next. Okay.
So I'll just say this:
their defense don't look that strong either.
That's where I'm going at. So I think Rafa and Darwin's pace could cause this Barca back line issues. They're extremely old, and the only one just looking at the lineup that I think has any type of pace is Dest.
On defense,
in the back.
The American.
Yeah, the rest of them are pretty old and don't have much pace, and I think Rafa and Darwin could take advantage of that, and we might see maybe a more direct type of play where a lot of balls in behind and trying to take advantage of that space in behind and our pace.
What I'm confused as hell as to what do you think? Like, who in the back line is not? Are they only Pique is old? You have Mingueza, he's 22. Eric Garcia is 20, and Dest is like in his 21 or so. That's all young guys.
Yeah, Eric Garcia is the guy that was at Barcelona, right? Or Manchester
he was
City.
in Manchester City, yeah. Eric Garcia. So
yeah, but isn't Lenglet the one that normally plays in the back with Pique?
No, the last few games has been Mingueza, Dest, Pique, and Garcia. That's the last. That's all young guys.
Okay, but
they're still not quick.
Yeah, and they're also
Garcia's not fast.
You just brought up another reason, another thing. They're inexperienced.
Yeah, that I get, but like we had our best season when Benfica with Ruben Dias and Ferro, and are they experienced?
Not in Champions League play or in European.
Well,
play.
but my biggest concern
that's a different beast.
My biggest concern when it comes to Barcelona is their possession. They no matter you the only game so far this season that they didn't dominate possession was against Bayern, and they lost 3-0, and their possession was 48% of possession. They had that game. Other games they tied a few, they won, but all in the 70s or high 60s. All right. So to me Benfica has shown a little bit of a glimpse of what can do without possession against PSV with 10 guys. That's the only confidence I have is because of what they've shown already without possession, right? They show they could defend as a block and attack as a block, as a counterattack, right? So because we're not going to have the most possession tomorrow. I'm telling you, if we have 40, we're lucky. I'm telling you, it's going to be. I disagree. You see, I'll see. I mean,
this isn't the Barca of old.
It's not, but they keep possession, and
they don't play the same.
I know they don't, but they. What do you mean? Do you see against Bayern? Bayern is dominating them, and they still have 48%. They had a lot of the ball.
But was most of that possession when they were down by 3-0 and Bayern was probably cruising at that point?
I'm not sure, but all the other
that's the thing. Stats can be deceiving.
But they have a lot of the ball. They hold a lot of the ball. Those guys, even when Spain played this year in the Euro, a lot of those guys were little kids like this one, like this team has, and they had a lot of possession. They just keep possession. That's all they're known for.
But we can also hit them. Like I feel like you mentioned, we can hit them on the counter.
We could.
Like we've talked about before, and just to give you the stat there, for the first half in the Bayern game, Barcelona was losing 1-0 at halftime. Barcelona had 51% possession against 49 for Bayern, and then it swapped in the second half, and Bayern scored 2 goals in that second half. But
so that's them having a lot of the ball, Oscar?
No, first half they 1-0. That's not
50-50 though. That's not having a shit ton of possession.
I just told you they had less possession. That's the only game they had less possession this season was against Bayern. I said 48% at the end of the game.
And who have they played? Like what type of teams have they played in La Liga?
I don't know. They play Levante. They play Getafe. They play Espeda. But if you put Benfica playing against Getafe and all that, I don't think Benfica has 77% possession.
So that's what I was gonna just. That was one of my top subtopics here is, right. I knew you were going to say that, and that's why I had it queued up is, right. We always say Benfica played against Moreirense and Tondela, whatever the case may be, right. And now the case is, right, who did Barcelona play, right? They played Levantes, they played the Granadas. The Granada game, I think it was like 70-20 or 70-30% possession.
Yeah.
And they ended up tying 1-1. But it leads me down the path of, right, we are starting to talk about Portugal's top 5 league in the world, right? Statistically, numbers-wise, Portugal's top 5 league in the world, right? And then in 5 games in Champions League this year, Portuguese teams have scored 2 goals.
Yeah,
right? Sporting in the first game at home against Ajax and Porto today. In those 5 games, we've taken home, 10-plus goals against, right? So in reality, is the Portuguese league a top 5 league in the world realistically, or is it just a stat? Because for me, it's just a stat. When I think of a top 5 team in the world, top 5 league in the world, I would like to think that in those top 5 leagues in the world, one team from one of those top 5 leagues could realistically challenge for a Champions League title. I don't see a Portuguese team being able to realistically challenge for a semi-final in the Champions League unless you can get a beneficial draw, right? The pieces can fall into place for you. But I think from what we've seen in these first two match days, and Benfica will show us tomorrow, right? And hopefully we can kind of have a better performance. But I'm not convinced that apart from the statistics and the rankings saying Portugal's the top 5 league in the world, I think we're miles off. At least I feel like the gap between the top 3 and the 4th and 5th is astronomical.
Yeah, but I think we're top 5 in the world because there's nobody. The 4th and 5th, like you said, the 4th and 5th, there's nobody.
If you look at like the French league, right? The French league is what we're essentially flip flopping with.
Yeah, but they have PSG
us in France.
That has.
But that's it.
Yeah, but they have all the money in the world.
They have one right, but outside of that, the other teams are shit.
I mean, they have Lille who just won the league. They're not. I mean,
yeah,
they're
that's
not,
like a fucking.
Yeah, but Lille came to play us against preseason. They lost against us and against Porto. Yeah. So it's not like they're like.
That's the thing. Like,
that's preseason. Yeah,
France has PSG because they have the
oil.
What are they? Our oil money, Qatar money, whatever they're from. Outside of that, I'm not going to get into that, Oscar. Outside of that, it's those teams are pretty even. I look at it and go, well, you like Oscar, you're trying to compare like Levante's and those teams to like the Portuguese league. Would Levante challenge for a top 3 or 4 spot in Portugal? I don't think so. I think they're not as good as the Braga and are probably challenging with like the Gil Vicente and Vitória Guimarães of our leagues for like 6th, 7th, or 8th. Like I don't think those teams in Spain are much better at all than the teams that we have in the Portuguese league.
I would disagree.
Do you remember
teams in Spain than there is in Portugal? I think there's like the Valencias of the world that like Valencia could probably compete.
And you guys not even look at how many times Sevilla's won the Euro Cup.
Sevilla too.
Villarreal just beat Manchester United. Just beat Manchester United on the Euro Cup.
Yeah, but
like they're top. They're like us. We have 3 good teams.
No, they don't.
Outside of that, I'm saying us.
No, I'm talking about Spain.
So that's what I'm going to compare, right? Like we have the big 3, right? Benfica, Porto, and Sporting, and then we have that second tier of pretty much the last couple of years. It's just been Braga that really challenges for that 3rd or 4th spot, and then we have everyone else. In Spain, right? They have their top 3, the Real, Barca, and Atletico, and then outside, then they have more teams in that second tier, but then that drop off to the 3rd tier is just as bad as everyone else in our 3rd tier.
I would disagree.
They just have more teams.
Resources.
They have more teams in that second tier than we do. We have Braga in that second tier, and I think that's it.
I disagree with that.
They have like 2 or 3 teams in that second tier.
I disagree. I think you look at teams like Betis, they're able to get a Willem Carvalho. Now look at our Moreirenses
and
our
TV money.
Yeah,
but they got resources.
Yeah, they have different resources.
But they have resources that they can get better, make a better team. So
different owners.
You remember our biggest Europe, like basically the fraud result 7-1 or 7-0 against Celta de Vigo. Who the hell is Celta de Vigo?
They had a nasty team.
But they still were in top 4 or 5 in the league.
Correct. But they were stacked.
Yeah, and they came and destroyed us. Legit destroyed us.
Well, we went there and got destroyed. They didn't come here and destroy.
Yeah. So I think the bottom tier of and you guys just made a point last year for Darwin. We made a point that
over here, dude. We're talking Barcelona.
I know. We made the point for Darwin last year. We played the 2nd division of Spain, which is equivalent to our 1st division in Portugal. Like that's what we talked about last year for a lot of the podcasts, right? So yeah, the lower teams in Spain can compete in our league, and finish in the top 5, 6. I think so.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that in Spain, that second tier of teams, they have more of those more in that second tier than we do in Portugal. Right? In Portugal, we have the top 3, then Braga, and then it's a huge drop off.
Right.
We don't have multiple. And in Spain, they have. I'm agreeing with you, dude. In Spain, they have more of those teams, but I think outside of like the Villarreals and those teams, like the second tier teams in Spain, those other teams like Osasuna's and Getafes and Levant, like those teams would compete. They'd be middle of the table in Portugal as well. I don't think.
I think
Portugal would be.
I think the bottom tier.
Didn't Santa Clara just beat Tottenham recently?
What?
Disrespect.
No, they
Yes,
did not.
Ferreira lost to Tottenham. Santa Clara lost to Partizan.
No, didn't they? I thought.
Oh,
didn't they,
Pas Ferreira beat them 1-0 at
all
home,
right,
and then they
I
lost.
said the wrong team.
away.
Yeah,
They did win. They did win.
Tottenham played with the probably the third
GP.
string.
It doesn't matter what
Yeah,
they played with.
but
They
my
lost,
point,
right? They lost.
My point is the bottom tier in Spain can beat our second tier in Portugal. That's the how I level those teams up.
All right, let's wrap it up
Back to
here.
Champions League.
Tiago in the comment says uma grande oportunidade de ganhar ao Barcelona e ambicionar com os oitavos. Bill, I'll start with you. Have you, and I think we're all going to agree on this, but from what I can remember growing up, watching European football, watching Champions League, I can't put my finger on another time where Benfica had the better opportunity to beat this Barcelona team, especially at home. Given the way that we're playing, being at home, there's fans back in the stadium. Barcelona's kind of a seesaw of emotions right now, a seesaw of results. What is your expectation for this game? And then give me your prediction, and then we'll finish off with predicted lineups. Is it a game that you think Benfica will have most of the possession? Do you think we're going to play on the counterattack? And then your prediction.
And I agree. I don't think there's been a better opportunity for Benfica to beat Barca. And I'll even go one step further. I don't think against any of the quote unquote like gigantes from Europe, right? I don't think Benfica has had a better chance going into the game to beat any of those teams, right? Like we've had those historic results against Liverpool and Man U, but going into the game, you wouldn't expect Benfica to get the result. I think going into this game, I think a lot of Benfiquistas have a very good they have a good sense that there's an opportunity here that we can come away with the result. I think Benfica wins. Are we doing our predictions?
Yep.
I'm going 2-1 Benfica.
Okay. And then
I do think it's gonna be a game where Barca will have more possession, and I think we'll hit them more on the counterattack.
Okay. And then one last question for you before I pass it to Jay. I just drew a blank. If Benfica doesn't take all 3 points from this game, do you think it's a nail in the coffin for our hopes to go to the Champions League next phase, with our next 2 games being against Bayern Munich, right? I know we have 1 point. Even if we pull away with 1 point in this game, we have 2. Barcelona has 1. You would expect that Dinamo Kiev loses to Bayern Munich, but you don't know, right? But let's just expect that Bayern wins. They have 6. If Benfica doesn't come away with 3 points with the 2 next games coming up, do you think it's almost a game, set, and match, and the focus needs to be on 3rd place, or do you think there's still a hope there?
Yeah, I think it makes things harder, but I don't think it's a nail in the coffin. I think if we can come away with a draw, it's obviously the door's still open, and that game, the game against Kiev and then the game going to Barca is those are 2 huge games, because you would think the games against Bayern are like, those are, if we get a result, those are miracles. But I think Benfica has to go into it as a do or die, right? I think we need to get the result and get 3 points out of this. But if we don't, I don't think it's a nail in the coffin, but it does complicate things a lot.
Jay.
I think it's a nail in the coffin if we don't win this game. We're at home. We need to get to 3 points. I know even a draw would be okay, but we need to get to 3 points if we're talking about going into the round of 16 in Champions League. I don't see a scenario of us going to Barca. If we tie, us going to Barca probably later on in this, I don't know when we'll play them ever again, probably in November or December. But I don't see us going there when they're probably a little bit healthier and probably have their mojo back a little bit. I think this is the time that we can put the nail in their coffin, hopefully, and we need to take advantage of this opportunity. I'm going to go 2-1 as well, Benfica. But we need to win this game if we have any chance of being in the round of 16. As far as possession and all that, I think it's actually going to be like 55-45. Barca will have the edge, but I don't think that they're going to completely control the game. I hope the fans come out. I hope they I don't know is it any different? Do they still have 50%?
I believe in Portugal it's still 50%, sure. But I saw a game because Champions League normally controls these, but it's the government in Portugal that handles it. So I believe it's still only at 50%. But
I just hope that they can fill the.
I wish they 50% sold out.
Yeah. So I hope they just come there and they push the team as much as they can. But I'm really hoping for 3 points here. If we don't, I don't see us moving on to. Our hopes will be Europa League after that, in my opinion.
Oscar, for you, before I pass it to you, Tiago, Benfica vai ter mais posse, Barcelona vai jogar no contra-ataque, olhem para o Real Madrid, perdeu contra uma equipa da Moldávia, Bruges ganhou ao RB Leipzig, tudo é possível. Real Madrid lost to I Shot the Sheriff at home.
That's a good one, huh? Look at you.
So, like Tiago says, tudo é possível. Oscar.
Yep. Do I think it's a nail in the coffin if we don't win tomorrow? I don't think it's a nail in the coffin if we lose, if we tie. I think it's a nail in the coffin if we lose. And the reason behind that is because we didn't get the 3 points against Dinamo. That was from the beginning one of those things I said. We need to get 3 points to Dinamo away and home. That's supposedly the easiest team in Ali in our group. Barcelona is a team we have to get points against, especially at home this year, because we're thinking of Bayern as a lost cause, right? Even though we can easily get points against Bayern, like Tiago said, Real Madrid lost to Sheriff today, right? And so anything is possible. But if you think realistically, Bayern gets the 3 points against Benfica both games, right? Realistically, so if we're thinking. Realistically, Benfica should have got 3 points in Dinamo, 3 points at home against Dinamo, and then puntuar in casa against Barcelona, and then afford to lose a game against Barcelona away, right? So if we don't win tomorrow, if it's not a win, we tie. Our chances are slim, but still possible. If we lose, I think we're like let's kiss ourselves to Europe.
You really think that we can move on to the round 16 with two I feel like that's the main reason why, because we tied against Kiev. I feel like if we don't get the 3 points tomorrow, then we're done.
Because we have to think if we can tie Barcelona Camp Nou, we can get a point in Camp Nou. We did it when they had fucking Fabregas, Busquets, Messi, and all that. We tied 0-0 there, right? We lost 2-0 at home. But it's possible, like Tiago said, it's possible, and especially this year where they're struggling or they don't have the kind of names that we are used to in Barcelona. It's possible and almost realistic. But if we don't get points tomorrow, if Barcelona gets the 3 points tomorrow, then they have that edge on us. They play the next game against us at home. They most likely will beat Dinamo, so we're chasing, and I think after chasing, we're just not there. We're not going to make it.
Yeah, and I agree. I think there's two elements here that I see. One, right, apart from Barcelona being in a very precarious situation and Benfica kind of being on a high at the moment, right? Like, for me, the obligation is there for Benfica, right? If there's ever been an obligation for Benfica to beat a top club from a name perspective in Europe, it's now. Right, like we have to. This is the game that we have to come in and take 3 points. Right, if we take one, then you have to look at the dynamic of the rest of the season or the rest of the group stage, right? You're going to expect, let's say, that we lose away to Bayern, which is the next game, right? And then the following game is at home to Bayern. We've beaten Bayern at home before, right? So there's a hope there that, right, like maybe we can pull something off at home and get at least a point, right? And then we have to go to Barcelona, right? And then we have to expect that we get the 3 points at home against Dinamo. Could we theoretically, so say we get 3 points against Dinamo, we get 1 point tomorrow, that's 5, and then we pull off a draw at home against Bayern, 6, right? If we got through to the next round with 6 points in second place, God damn it, that would be like Christmas morning.
Seriously,
what are the odds, right? But then again,
Hey,
think about
you guys.
Bayern.
You guys were at church on Sunday. Rzaste.
Yeah, Rzaste. Think about Bayern, right? Say they win tomorrow and say they beat Benfica at home, right? They have 9 points. Right now they're in cruise control, right? Do they come to the Stadio de Luz with a different mindset, right? Because that opened a door for Benfica.
The problem with Bayern is when they play Benfica, the next 2 games or the game before and after are shit games for them. Legit, like it's games like I don't have to save players.
But those are the games. Guys. But those are the games that we could potentially have an advantage, right, from a mentality perspective. The home game, the away game, again, I think we can all agree that Benfica to come away with even a point is going to be extremely difficult, right? But we'll see what it is. I still believe that this is a must-win, not just because of the result in the first game, but because of the current situation of both teams going into this game. I don't think there's no excuse for Benfica to not be able to compete in this game at home with the team that we have, with the momentum that we have, and with the lack thereof that Barcelona has coming into this.
You just have to think that for us to go, if we tie tomorrow, for us to go through, Dinamo has to steal points from Barcelona.
Yeah,
I think they will.
Dude, I don't know.
I think they will.
And we played Dinamo. Dinamo was not that great. Like, I'm sorry, but
I think Barcelona loses points against Dinamo, at least in Dinamo.
You guys definitely prayed on church on Sunday.
Oh, I did.
Saturday.
I don't even know who got married. I was too busy praying. I just know there was 2 people up there.
Did Oscar say his prediction?
Oscar, what's your prediction?
Oh,
I'm saying 1-1.
1-1. Gary in the chat says we can't play scared. Tiago, Bayern está muitas escadas acima de todo o resto, provavelmente no top 3 do mundo. I would agree with that. My prediction is 2-0. Benfica.
All right.
And I agree with what Tiago said, which is Benfica is going to have more possession. I think given the way that Barcelona is at the moment, I think that they're going to give Benfica the midfield, give us the possession, and try to hit us on the counterattack with the likes of Ansu Fati, with the likes of Memphis Depay.
I don't think Fati starts, though.
I think he starts after coming in this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts.
He's been out for a year.
I mean, he's been training, right? So you would imagine that he's not going to have match fitness.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Quickly, Oscar, I'll go the other way around. I'll start with you. What's your starting 11?
I think the Vlaco, obviously, the back 3 is the obvious ones. Verissimo, Otamendi, and Vertonghen. I think Lázaro plays on the right, Grimaldo on the left, Weigl, João Mario, and then I think he stays with the top 3 he's been playing with, which is Darwin, Yara, and Rafa.
Jay?
The only thing I would change would be, I think, for some reason, Everton starts this game instead of Darwin.
Okay. Bill?
No, I think I'm going with Oscar's lineup. I think it's essential. I think it's actually the same from Guimarães. I think it's Vlaco in the back, Verissimo, Ota, Vertonghen, Grimaldo, and Lázaro. Because I think Diogo has been injured, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he out?
He's out.
Yeah. And then João Mario and Weigl in the middle with the same front 3. I think if there's any changes, it won't be in that front 3. I think he sticks with that front 3, and if he makes changes, it's going to be most likely in the midfield. But I think he stays with the same lineup.
Do you think he puts who's in the midfield, like taking out Mario or Weigl?
You better not change the midfield.
I'm going to give you my curveball. I think everything's going to stay the same from the back. the back five, the two middies. Yaremchuk starts up top. I think the big change that he's going to make, in my opinion, in order for us to be able to keep the ball a little bit more, is Rafa and Pizzi, and Benfica plays in almost like
Oscar just got
a four midfield, right? Or like a three,
3-4-2-1.
That front three basically drops behind Chuk and plays three behind him with one up top, right? So Chuk's kind of isolated by himself. You got Rafa that can play in between lines, get up the field. Pizzi can drop inside. Guri can get down the line. And it creates that dynamic to be able to try to keep the ball a little bit more. Whereas with Darwin, right, the dynamic there, I think, is going to be the only way for you to play with Darwin there, right, is into space, right? Play it into space, try to get him behind, which I think would hurt us if we don't have the ball, right? Because now you got a guy that can't keep the ball. He's not good with the ball at his feet, and I think that hurts us. In order for us to beat Barcelona, we need to be good on the ball, right? We need to make good decisions. Whether we have most of the possession, they give us the midfield, or we're playing on the counterattack, right? Like when you have the ball against a team like Barcelona and in the Champions League in general, you need to take your shots, right? You can't miss chances. And I think in this game to start, Pizzi gives us that ability to keep the ball a little bit more.
So you think he's been saving Pizzi for this game because he hasn't played him in the last fucking 4 or 5 games?
You're talking about match fitness.
He's ready to go.
Jesus,
he played what? 35 minutes.
Yeah, last game against Guimarães. So, but like the other games, the 89th, 90th minute comes in. It's like
I think Everton plays because he can go at defenders and he won't be scared to go at those the winger, the left back or the right back or whatever the hell he's going to play. I feel like that's the reason why I think I would start Everton. Pizzi, I feel like slows down the game for us, but I get your point with the pole possession.
Keeping the
thing.
ball.
Yeah, I know. I get.
I would agree. Everton slows it down more than Pizzi does.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you guys. I would agree with you guys if you guys are right about us having most possession. I would absolutely think Pizzi should start if the idea is for us to have most of the possession.
If now we don't.
Well, I agree. But in my mind, they're gonna have most of the possession. Like so, for me, when we do counterattacks, is if we're defending well and counterattacks, Darwin would have been the obvious player because of the speed that you guys all bragged about, right? So if we want to hit them on a counterattack, we have Rafa and Darwin and Yara in the middle to put him in, right? So that's the idea: is them having most possession, we counterattack.
I would say that I'm going to throw another curveball. If JJ's mindset going into this game is we're going to have possession of the ball, I think Pizzi starts over Darwin. If JJ's mindset going into the game is that we're going to play on the counterattack, if Radonjic is fit, I think he starts over Darwin.
Who?
I thought he was out.
The Serbian.
He's questionable.
The Serbian dude.
We won't know until tomorrow. But if he's fit, I would say he starts over Darwin because he gives us a different dynamic, right? He's good with the ball at his feet. He can go at defenders. Where with Darwin is you got to put the ball in behind.
The one game I saw him play, he was actually pretty good. I really haven't seen much of him. Like that was the first time I can. Honestly,
I think it was against Dinamo when we tied.
Yeah. But he went in and he was trying to do too much by himself, which first game, so it's not surprising. But so we got our predictions. We got Bill 2-1, Jay 2-1, Oscar 1-1. I am predicting a 2-0.
I reserve the right to change my score.
Yeah, you can change it tomorrow before kickoff.
Yeah, once the lineup comes out,
okay,
will be the determining factor.
You can change it tomorrow. Just a reminder, if you haven't seen the interview with Valdo that we had last week, check it out on our Facebook, on our YouTube, on our Twitter. Also, tomorrow, Luis and a few of the guys from the Portuguese podcast will be at the match. So look for a live broadcast on our Facebook page from the Estádio da Luz before and potentially after, with some interviews outside the stadium, inside the stadium of some of the fans to get some opinions and thoughts. So look for that on our Facebook page tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Do they got the Cantinho flags ready to go?
I don't know if they've arrived yet, but yes, we have ordered flags, and they will be at the stadium once they have arrived. So making our mark there. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
There's a question, by the way.
Yeah, Gary asked the question about Mate.
Do you see Mate playing? I
Not
don't think
unless
so.
Weigl gets hurt.
Yeah.
Or we
Yeah.
have a lead and we have to come in and shut down the fort.
Yeah, the only way I see Mate playing is if we do have a early lead, and Jesus wants to just shut down and put Mate 10 to kind of hold the result.
I actually like Mate. I think
He's good, but it's not to score. It's not to attack the team.
No,
it's more to control the result.
I don't even think he's a starter on this team. Not yet.
No. And Tiago said he agrees with you, Jay. Darwin was awful last game. PZ or Everton, I'm assuming, for this game tomorrow. But time will tell. So he agrees with me a little bit on PZ. He agrees with you on Everton, but we shall see. Boys, as always, it was a pleasure. Kenny couldn't make it today. He's too busy whacking golf balls around in North Carolina or South Carolina or whatever the hell.
Georgia, Hilton Head.
That's not in Georgia.
North Carolina. North Carolina.
I think it's in North Carolina, dude.
I thought it was Georgia.
No.
Dude, the kid's been on bad vacations this month,
dude. Who approved this PTO for our podcast?
Fucking
I didn't get those PTO requests. We will be back next week. Again, don't forget to check out the Facebook tomorrow for the live from the stadium. As always, thank you to everyone in the chat. There were a few: Tiago, Visão Vermelha, Gary, José Manuel Ferreira, João Miguel. I believe that was it for today. There was a few people watching. Everyone seems to be shy and didn't want to join the conversation. We'll catch you guys next week, hopefully with a victory against Barcelona, and then we have a match at the weekend against Portimonense, I believe. We'll reserve our predictions until Friday, until we see what happens from this game. But Benfica is going to win, and this is going to be a turning point for us in the league, because this, like, mentality-wise, is going to just give us – we're going to the fucking moon. That's it. Viva Benfica. See you next week. Let's go.
Viva.